Got some cabbage cooking in the kitchen. Actually, I should say the wife has got cabbage cooking in the kitchen. I'm getting ready to put some of this Vallejo Express paint on some Lizardmen to see how that works out and opine about multiple things. Uh, trigger warning. Look at me using trigger warnings. I may talk a little bit about politics here, but I'm starting to think maybe it's not politics. You know what I mean? I'm starting to come to the conclusion that not that there's anything I can really do about it, except be, prepared to take care of myself and my family. But based on, somebody's in chat, probably left. Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Might have to yell at my wife and tell her to turn her TV down. But I can't be too mean. She's half deaf. She got in a car accident and messed her hearing up. But afternoon, Mobius and James. Yeah. So I'm going with this kind of pale green for the Lizardmen. But anyway, okay, what's got me feeling like having opinions today? Watching one of the channels I watch, the Liberal Hive Mind, and watching all of these commentators on CNN and MSNBC and everything going off about how allowing South African people into the country, refugees, let's say, was a totally racist thing, and there's no such thing as like violence towards South African farmers, Boers, and that, this is the actions of a white nationalist, etc., etc. And of course, everyone arguing this point is, not a white person. They're Hispanic or mixed race African or something. And they're all like, one guy, a white guy actually, had the nerve to say, these are the descendants of the people who brought about the most despicable, racist, blah, blah, blah in all of history. And it's almost like, okay, so these aren't the people. These are the descendants of those people. And is the argument that we leave them over there and allow them to be murdered by, these savages. And I do call them savages because if you ever see like the political meetings of like the NEC and stuff like that, these guys are dancing up and down like a bunch of chimps, screaming, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, at a political event with hundreds of thousands of people there, right? Can you imagine in your head, and I'm going to play that game of comparative filth, if there was anywhere on the planet where a bunch of white people were jumping up and down and saying, kill the, crackhead or something. First off, that country would immediately be ostracized and people would be talking so much smack like nonstop about what horrible human beings they were and all of this thing. And the problem is America, we have a lot of very uneducated people here who believe that someone like, say, Nelson Mandela was actually a good person. What's up, Crafting Gamer? Nelson Mandela was not a good person. He was not thrown in jail for, being totally innocent. His wife absolutely tortured people to death. And their preferred means of torture was to put like a car tire around your neck and light it on fire. That was their thing. That's what they liked. That was kind of their modus operandi. And the African National Council, Mandela's political thing, was straight up Marxist. So they were commies, right? So these people want to idolize Mandela. I don't idolize Mandela at all. I think he's a scumbag. What's up there?
Clearly, I've arrived at the right time.
Well, I'm a little bit like opinionated because our left-wing media is losing their mind because Trump has extended refugee status to South African farmers if they want to flee South Africa.
Yeah, I saw a documentary about it a few years ago where they were talking to crime scene cleanup people that go in and clean up the crime scenes.
Right.
And they were in South Africa. And the stories they were telling about what they found at these farm murders were insane. Just insane.
Talking about the South African farmers?
Well, James appears to have frozen.
Should be allowed to do it.
Huh.
Well, there he is. Nice
the Pat. Tell you guys.
He's still kind of lagging
super crazy about the whole thing. What's up, Left?
Hey.
The craziest thing is when the black people in South Africa along.
You're breaking up, James. We're not getting it.
Exactly. They can.
How long until he figures out that he's just lagging out?
Yeah, James, you're lagging out. We didn't get any of that.
Bears. So
no,
James, you are.
It's you, James.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
This end. Okay, how about now?
Nope.
Same. I suggest go out and come back in.
Let's try that.
Hi, bug, turtle, chainsaw. You know? Yeah. What do you want? It's Tuna Tuesday. You should be happy. Well, welcome to my show. I'd like to take a moment to talk about books. I have a lot of them. They're fun. There's stuff in them you can learn. Yeah. How about you, Leth? You a fan of books?
I read, just not books. I find stuff on the internet to read about.
You should read books, Leth. They're good for you. This new James sucks. Wow, thank you. Yeah, that was very kind of you. I feel so much better now, Deckard. Thank you. No, it's okay. They're right. I suck. I completely suck. It's okay. And Mobius 8 agrees, but he doesn't like me and I don't like him, so that's okay. So, we can just do that and be done with that.
It's what you get when you get Canadian James.
Canadian James. That's funny. I hope that James comes back. That'd be nice to have James come back. Bow, bow.
So how's your games going?
Going all right. Going all right. They happen. They play. They're fun. You know, it's a good time being had by all. You know, the other people can who are not having fun can. I believe the exact term is kiss my anus. Yeah, for a find. TCG, man, come on, you know better. It's just so weird.
It is.
This is almost surreal. Like I had no control over the room or anything.
Me neither. I don't know.
I don't know if people are showing up that want to be in the chat. I have no ability to add them. Oh, I bought some 5 ebooks off my used guy. And he was late shipping them. So he sent me these as an apology for late shipping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I was like, holy fuck, man, that's really cool of you. So I got some 2E that I wasn't expecting. Was going to buy at a later date and time. I mean, they're not.
You don't have to buy them.
No, but I mean, they're not in the best of shape, but they're still nice. So I'm happy with them. Books I didn't have before. I used to have the original covers for the Player's Handbook and the DMG, but I don't have them anymore.
One thing I wish I could find is probably the old, like, 3rd edition Avalon Hill stuff. Hey, it's
there he
is. He's in the corner now.
He has control. He can put himself back out of the corner anytime he wants. Nobody puts Jamesy in the corner.
Yeah.
Maybe James still leading here.
Still whatting?
Leading.
No, he's not.
Canadian James, you're still in the top big.
Yeah, it's because American James hasn't moved me back. See, now everything's
Yeah.
fine. Let's calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ.
But anyway, what I was talking about, though, is our mainstream media down here is freaking out because 34 South African farmers have come to America.
Good.
Actually gotten real refugee status, not just allowed in.
Right. And they are literally on TV saying it's because they're white.
Okay, so
And I'm like, okay, we let in 10 million people who were not being actively murdered by, the scumbags in their country, right? And nobody's got a word to say about it, but we let in 30-something people, families, who are actively being persecuted by their country and murdered. And all the leftists got an issue. And here's the thing that pisses me off the most is most of the people complaining are not white people. And it's starting to feel like, is America in the middle of a race war and nobody told me?
Yeah, we pretty much are.
Because it's like all the people complaining about getting rid of migrants, the vast majority of them are either white cucks or Hispanic people, crying about how dare you get rid of our people. And it's like, they're not our people. They're not our people. They're not our people. Yeah, 15 generations of farmers who built the country from a desert, and there were no black people there when they showed up. The Africans migrated in only after the colony started. I mean, that's the whole point of the movie Zulu Dawn. It was the Zulu tribe migrating in from the north, because South Africa, before the Boer and the English people started, doing weird shit like digging wells and irrigating, was a wasteland. No one lived there.
For 100 years, no one lived there.
Yeah, for 100 years. Yeah, no one lived there. But yeah, and this one black woman on CNN had the nerve to say, well, why do they got to come here? They should have to go back to Germany. Which is ignorant, because Boers are Belgian.
Dutch. No, they're Dutch.
Dutch. Well, same thing, Low Country.
Don't tell them that.
Well, okay. Hercule
That's
Poirot is
racist.
Belgian. Hercule Poirot is Belgian.
The point is you are right, but at the same time, listen, James, why are you letting this upset you? You already know the game plan that's afoot. You already know the names of all the players behind the scenes that are making this happen. You understand exactly why at American and Canadian universities, idiots are out there chanting free, 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 free Palestine, acting like Palestine is the last bastion of freedom and equality on the planet somehow. You know, like, come on. Come on. You know the playbook that's at work here.
I
This is the
think
legacy of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum. It's all
I
nonsense.
honestly think that these people are out there talking about freeing Palestine. We might just should send them there.
I think so too.
Dutch.
See
Okay,
how long
Mobius,
that blue hair
thank
goes
you.
over well.
Thank you. I'll be honest, and this might piss off Victor. Dutch, Belgian,
Flemish.
Holland. I mean, who the fuck? Swamp German. How about that? They're swamp Germans.
They're the swampies of Germany.
Well,
it's
because
better
that
Better than
land
the
is
Austrians, they're the mountain Germans, right?
right. I mean, but the thing with all that land is 90% of it's recovered from swamps and bogs. So they are ingenious because they did build all those damn windmills to push the ocean back out into the ocean.
Dikes, they're big on dikes over there.
Yep.
And not the fun-sized kind. I mean, the ones that hold the ocean back.
Right.
But they are the best farmers in the world. The Dutch farmers, the best.
So if they come over here, the worst thing that's going to happen is we'll resettle them somewhere and they'll start growing corn or soybeans or something. Whatever. And the other thing is it showed them getting off the airplane in America, and every single one of these guys had a little American flag waving it.
Yeah.
They were so happy to be here. And everybody's talking this shit, and it's like, well, these people who are not fleeing racial discrimination, they come into the country waving their flag and refusing to learn English. Meanwhile, these guys speak English, sorta, and they're happy to be here. So, of course, which group do you think I'm going to want more of? And that's not even a skin color thing at this point. I mean, if you wanted to import a bunch of Kenyans and they were all waving American flags and being like, we're so happy to be in America, I'd be like, okay. Especially if, they were being murdered just for being Kenyan Christians or whatever. I mean, yeah, obviously. So, but you're right, Bear. I let them get under my skin because they're trying to make it a race thing. It's not a race thing.
Not a race thing.
It's a group of people are being persecuted because of the sins of their fathers, which, like I said, you could argue weren't even sins.
Well, and at the same time, you need to understand, and I'm not trying to make this like politically charged or anything, but Black South Africans kill themselves and their own people far more than they kill the Boers.
Well, that's just going to happen because there's so many more of them.
Well, it's a ghetto. It's a country that's an entire ghetto now.
Yeah, it's a collapsing nation.
It's a failing nation. Exactly. It's a collapsing nation state. I'm not saying apartheid was a good idea, by the way. I'm not approving of that.
No, I should hope not.
No.
But I do kind of see the point, though, because while I'm not saying it was a great idea, so many non-white people migrated into South Africa that the white South Africans, the Afrikaans, realized that any democratic government would end with them being deposed.
Yeah, well, that's what happened.
So then they tried to make it where that wouldn't happen. They would have been better off just shooting them at the border, honestly, and telling them they're not allowed in South Africa. It's not their country. Go away. But then the world would have been mad about that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, oh God.
Hey, talking about
pure
South
lies.
Africa, James.
Yes.
I heard a funny story about like a white African actually applying for a African
That happened
American.
like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The South African guy applied for the college fund,
Yeah.
and they gave it to him. And
No,
he
they didn't.
He went
they
to
were
the
going
school
to-
and he was a white guy, and
Yeah,
they're
they
like,
were gonna give it to him until they found out he was a white guy. Then they're like, "This is for African Americans." He's like, "But I'm from Africa."
yeah.
We meant black Africans.
Hey, the richest guy in the United States is African.
Yeah.
And was Canadian for a very short period of time too.
And was in Saudi Arabia last night while Saudi Arabia was like fawning all over 45-47. And apparently however you feel about it or not, we made a $500 billion weapons deal with those knuckleheads. $480 billion of brand new tech to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Well, this is sort of what's going on here in Canada right now. Everyone's arguing about the Alberta thing, and they're not talking about it in the English media. But my best friend, his wife is French Canadian, so they watch French news and French television in his house.
Trinidad, you said, or what?
No, she's France. She's
Okay.
her family's
Okay.
France, and then they moved to Quebec. Anyway, so she's French, and they watch French news. And he was telling me, he goes all over the French news. It's all about how the fuck is Alberta going to be a country before Quebec, and they're getting all riled up about it. So the whole separatism for Quebec movement's starting up again, and I'm just giggling my ass off watching all of this. As we had a prime minister, so there was this stupid expression that went around called "elbows up" when they were all angry at Trump, right? So elbows up, it's a hockey thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our dumbass fucking prime minister, Mark Carney, was going around, he was elbows up all through his fucking run for the election. And then when he
They
won,
even had a
this
dance.
rap song with the elbows up. And what's the first fucking official act of state he does? Run to Washington to kiss the ring.
Oh, yeah, that speech, which was an hour and a half long, and he got to speak 19 minutes. It's like if you're a Canadian boomer that voted for that guy to stand up to Trump, you are probably having some regret right now because he ain't standing up to shit. At one point, he said, Canada is not for sale. Trump looked him right in the face, said, never say never.
Never said it.
It's like, what?
No, the best part is his intro line was that he goes, as you know, there are places that are never for sale. We're in one of them now, and blah 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 blah. And he goes, and after speaking with Canada's owners, Canada is not for sale. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Speaking with Canada's owners? You almost lost the election, and now there's a whole bunch of shit coming out that's showing that there was some shenanigan-y stuff. There's a riding here in Quebec where the Liberals beat the Bloc Québécois by one vote, and one lady's gone public with the returned mail-in ballot that has a printed address provided by Elections Canada that was returned for being the wrong address. And there's all these little tiny shenanigans building up that are starting to show up, and it's like, gee, I wonder if they fucking stole our election in Canada. That couldn't be possible. No way they would ever do that. These guys are all upstanding, fine people. Our international banker fucking prime minister.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
true
the
that he
thing
has,
that
like,
tweaks
triple
me out
citizenship?
about. Go ahead, Left. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to ask if he has triple citizenship.
Yep.
Oh,
He would have to because he was like part of the Bank of England, which has nothing to do with England.
Exactly, Deckard, the Chinese. He spoke to Canada's owners, the Chinese, and the CCP said,
But-
no, it's very true, by the way.
So he's part of the Bank of England, which has nothing to do with England.
He was
He
the head of the
lived in
Bank of
Ireland.
Canada, and he lived in Ireland, and he used to live in the States.
It's like, so the Canadians pick literally a foreigner
No,
to be their governor.
the boomers, not the Canadians.
Yeah, the boomers, you're right.
Picked the guy who they thought was less Donald Trump and not scary.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. America has you so beat when it comes to cringe. Like, you can't turn the TV on here or watch YouTube without seeing a bunch of 90 people singing like, old slave songs and shit about, protesting. And it's all old white boomers, and they're all up there like, which way will you be, my people? Which way will you be? It's like, shut the fuck up.
My brother in Christ, listen. Within the next 5 years, the boomer die-off will begin in serious numbers. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all of you who are going to lose your parents. That's the way it's going to go. And for all of you younger folks who are going to lose Mima and Poopa and all that, sorry. That's the way time and nature works.
Go that way.
But the good news is there aren't enough millennials to replace them and control politics anymore. See, because they were the biggest generation, those fucking boomers. They were the biggest generation in Western history. So now the next election cycle in 4 or 5 years for both of our nations is going to be dominated by Gen X, millennials, and Zoomers. And Zoomers are proving to be the most conservative generation in about 50 fucking years. So there's hope. We just got to make it through the next 4 or 5 years, man.
It's just so weird watching these like 80-year-old people trying to LARP their Vietnam protest days. You know,
That's
it's
what
like,
they're doing. From their
Yeah,
fucking
Bruce.
houses they paid peanuts for, living on 401ks from when the economy was good and Reagan fixed everything for them. You know, like, Jesus Christ, these people are shit.
right. Which, I mean, a lot of people love Reagan, but he did put America a lot more in debt than.
I'm
Oh,
more of a fan
Clinton.
of Nixon. Nixon was better.
Nixon ruined everything. Nixon is
Nixon had
the
a
reason we
fine
are in this
Republican
economic bullshit now, Leth. Nixon was the petrodollar guy. If you ever want to understand everything that happened since 1970 and why it's been shit since 1970, Nixon. That's why that Reagan period was a brief sort of like, oh, what's going on? Oh, we all don't hate ourselves anymore. Oh, James, you should put the link up because like Bruce is here, Doc is here, and it's been a while since you put the link up for the chat.
Okay. I will do that, sir.
Just suggesting.
Hey,
Yeah. So the
That's-
boomer
that's
die-off's
what
going to
we're doing.
happen, and then maybe we'll be able to fix some shit because we won't have a bunch of fucking ex-hippies sitting around talking about how it was so cool that they smoked drugs and, you know, had free sex. Fucking weirdos.
Oh man.
what's really crazy from a medical point of view is a huge percentage of boomers have hepatitis.
A, B, or C?
C.
Really?
In the
Hep
United
C?
States, like I think it's 40%. Somebody can check up on that, but like if you're above like 65 or 70, you probably got hepatitis.
Hep C is brutal, man.
With what Daryl said, yeah, that's why Roosevelt was one of the worst presidents. Not just for those two things, but
Well, Franklin
Roosevelt was
Delano.
straight up.
yeah, FDR was like one of the worst presidents ever.
What do you think? Okay, let me ask you a quick question. It's all well and good to sit here in 2025 and go on about how FDR was bad. What do you think would have happened if FDR hadn't done the New Deal? What do you think America would be
Civil
like
War.
right now?
Civil War.
Yeah, exactly. There would be no America.
Because
Fascism
whether you
would
love
be
him or hate him,
complete.
he understood that you cannot have 40% of the population out of work, of military age men.
I would say that he is the reason why we have like part of the reason. I mean,
No,
it
he
was
wasn't.
totally.
How was FDR part of the reason for the fucking global economic crisis and the Dust Bowl? How the fuck was that his fault?
Well, the Dust Bowl was
Terrible
because
policies,
we
I'd say,
didn't
but-
understand that. We didn't understand shit that English peasants knew 500 years ago.
Yeah, it
That's
was a
fair,
farming
but that's
issue
not
on that one.
FDR's fault. Look, I don't like FDR.
Yeah, no, that's not
his
FDR's fault. I'm blaming us
Yeah,
because we thought, hey, just keep growing and growing and growing on the same land. Don't worry about it.
no crop rotation.
No crop rotation. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
He'll be just fine.
It'll be fine. And it wasn't.
Where are my
But
people? Where did Dust
Now,
come from?
Doc just walked in. He's got to take a shower and wash the chicken blood off.
I watched the chicken guts off him because he works at Chicken Dachau.
Yeah, they don't even get the promise that work will set them free.
What?
Again,
No.
I'd say that taking poor people's money and then holding it from them probably didn't help with the economic issues.
Look, we can all agree that FDR overdid some shit he shouldn't have done. We all agree.
Every president does.
Yeah, forcing
However,
people to just give their gold
in
back.
aggregate, he gave us Mount Rushmore. He gave us the interstate systems.
In aggregate, he put 40% of your population back to work and prevented a civil war that would have wound up splitting America into 3 states: a fascist state, a communist state, and a super racist southern state. You know what I mean?
At least three states. There could have been California could have been its own state. I mean, you don't know.
Oh.
I
Well,
mean,
California would have
shit
just
could've went
joined
nuts.
Mexico.
I don't think so, only because Mexico itself cannot conquer California.
I'm teasing.
Oh, Ike. Now, Ike was the guy who told everybody what was going to happen, and no one listened.
Yep.
You know, before he went
Straight up
out, he
warned them.
said, "This is what's going to go down, bros." And everybody's like, "Yeah, how you doing, Crafting Gamer?"
In the grim dark of the future, there is only war.
God, I hope.
Sorry, I've been listening to a lot of
Horse.
yeah,
Heresy.
I've been listening to a lot of Warhammer 40k. Yeah, it's specifically Horse Heresy actually.
The first 4 books are amazing, and then after that, it gets spotty. Some are good, some are meh.
Where did I put my
He
gun?
did maybe prolong the depression, but the point is, he also, I believe, may have.
Bear,
stopped the
you're
Civil
Canadian.
War.
You can't have guns.
We have tons of guns. At one point in time in this century, or just before the beginning of this century, we had more guns per capita than you guys.
I don't believe it.
Per capita. Per capita.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that
well,
those guys up
that's-
in Saskatchewan and shit, hunting bears and moose and shit, they're probably not slinging rocks at them.
Dude, in my living room growing up,
and here's the main difference, Les.
Maritimes, in my living room, we had a gun rack with 7 fucking guns on it. You know, from a 30-30 all the way down to a 12 gauge. You know, there was everything you could imagine was on that wall. We're not a bunch of fucking daisy wielding, tie dye wearing hugging fuckers. You know, we
See,
you know,
I had
and then
never thought
Trudeau
about
started
this
his
when you
bullshit.
brought
Oh,
up-
it's all Trudeau's fault. Fuck.
See,
Yes,
See,
the shotgun
the
was
whole-
right
my
underneath the
understanding is-
baseball bat with the nails in it.
Oh,
Hands with grenades.
yeah, my understanding when it comes to that is when
Oh,
America's
I-
claim
no.
to guns per capita is more under the handgun situation. Like we have the most handguns of like any other country.
Canada or America?
That's okay.
America.
When you're trying
Canada
to
has, like, the
over
most
trees and
rifles.
hunting us in the woods, those handguns are going to be fucking useless, but our rifles are
Yeah,
gonna be real
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, I mean, if I'm in my full gear, I've got my Glock right here, just in case. That's all it's there for. It's a just in case situation.
useful.
I got
shit.
a Walther.
Now, I used to go with my AK-74, but now I'm leaning towards my AR in 300 Blackout.
I have 2 cats.
I choose an AR and
Yeah.
5.56
Yeah.
mainly because
Well,
just
it-
ammo.
Well, you
available.
see, there's the
Yeah,
thing with a bear having 2 cats. He doesn't need a gun. He just needs a laser pointer. Intruder. Zzz.
Yeah.
Oh, there's your
5.56 is very popular among the Girl Scouts left.
But
It's
let's
very
make
popular
a great point, though. He
in
is 100%
general.
right that 5.56 is going to be readily available. But once you burn through whatever stockpile of 5.45 you got, you're done.
Yep, or any other wacky ammo
Is
type.
Glock a Swamp Dutch gun?
German.
I think Glock's made in Switzerland.
Yep.
Glock? No, Glock is Mustache Man country.
Germany?
German?
No,
Austria.
actual Austria.
Austria. Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Mountain German. It's Mountain
Mountain
German.
German.
Okay.
Mountain German.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, that makes sense. That'd be built by them because it's not built to be pretty. It's built to function every time, and that's it.
So you ever
They're
see a
good guns.
Steyr
I
GB?
hate the way they're made. I don't like that hump in the handle. I can't deal with it. But
You ever see a Steyr
I hate the
GB?
cheapness of it.
yeah,
It just-
James?
A
James, have you ever
steer-
seen the Steyr GB?
Is that like a Steerog?
Well, it's the same company, Steyr, and they make a handgun called the GB. And when I used to do film and we'd do action films. The armor would always give me guns, and they give me like a 45, and it would look ridiculously small in my hand. And they couldn't give me a Desert Eagle for every scene because it would just be weird that I would, this gigantic gun. And then one of the armors, who's a buddy of mine, just showed up one day and went, "Here, hold this." And he handed me this thing, and it looked perfect in my hand. Like it looked in my hand the way the Walther PPK looked in fucking James Bond's hand. It was the perfect match. He's like, "That's the Steyr GB. You ever want to buy a handgun? Buy that." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks. Good to know. Good to know."
Works.
I had a replica for years. It was perfect. It was like a cinema replica. It was fucking beautiful. But I gave it to a friend for a film, and I never saw it again.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Oh well.
Well, you know what they say: if you give somebody something and never see them again, it was probably a good investment.
Oh, boy.
It's a firearm, that's for sure.
I've been thinking about getting myself a PCC, a pistol caliber carbine. Thinking like maybe a Chris Vector.
Oh God.
What? They're cool looking.
I
Okay.
can't remember the caliber. It's a handgun my brother-in-law has. It's a revolver style. I shot that thing a couple times, and it may have some decent kick, but it feels perfect in my hand.
If I do find a Chris Vector, though, I gotta find the one with the original stock and not that buffer tube one.
The revolvers, a lot of times, the most common revolvers are going to be like 44 or 357, unless it's like a snub nose. Uh-oh.
Nico, come down.
What is
You
that?
named your dog cat in Japanese?
I didn't. Also, I didn't know that's what that was.
Is that a dog or a cat?
It's not Nico. It's Echo. It's Nika. It's a
Hey,
dog.
can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
My camera's acting up for some weird reason.
no, can't hear you at all, man. Sorry.
Doc Flamingo.
So that was a cat or a dog, Leth?
A dog. She's whining. She sees people outside and she wants to be out there, I guess.
See, I thought it was a demon-possessed piece of electronics.
Yeah, it sounded like it was time to feed the prisoner you got locked in your basement.
I was gonna say, man, like seriously, Leth, are we gonna be watching you on some fucking tell-all YouTube crime video at some point in time?
Don't have a basement.
Like, left at some point in the past, did somebody send you like a button in the shape of a Pokemon? Specifically Pikachu?
Nope.
You probably don't know the legend of Chris Chan.
Yeah, I do. I know him a little bit, but not much.
It's like, I think that the Pikachu button is like, I don't know, cursed, possessed by demons or something. The Polyton Capacity magazine for metal. My 17 came with 315s, and since then, a buddy of mine for a gift got me a couple of 30 rounds.
My Walther comes with an 18-round mag.
But like when I'm just going to Walmart or something, I typically take my Springfield, and that thing's 15. But it's so go and try and restart. Okay, Doc, no problem. But I mean, since it's a Springfield Hellcat Special Edition, it's so small, I can just put it in my pants pocket and nobody will see it, you know.
That's what I call my penis.
Yeah, right.
Just put it in my pants, nobody will see it. That's fine.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're wearing like gray sweatpants.
Maybe it's only a 15-round mag.
You can be that guy that shows up to the strip club in a pair of sweatpants. Because you're all like,
Oh, it was probably
yes,
those.
the Springfield has a metal mag. As a
Not
matter of
even-
fact, the whole pistol's metal.
About that
It's
new
like,
Walther that was-
where's the Glock? You know how everything except the slide and the barrel basically is some kind of composite. The Springfield's all metal, but it's only like this big. It's very small. So,
Here's something, James. What do you
and
think?
I've got a little Adidas fanny pack I can put it in.
Well, James, what's your thoughts on the Beretta FS92?
I owned one for many years, and I absolutely regret selling it. Hungar has one, I think, or had one.
I want one because Kane had one in Command and Conquer.
Yeah, that's okay. There you are.
There you go.
Hell,
Doc.
Ah, Christ, it's hideous.
yeah, I like all metal guns. I've been wanting to get a Browning high power for a very long time. I found one but it was World War II area during occupation time in Belgium, so it had like Nazi proof marks on it, and I wanted it to carry gun, and I thought if I actually wound up using it and I had like swastikas carved into my gun, that would probably like play real bad in court. So I was like, no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a pass on that.
Thing.
Yeah. They'd be like,
I don't know. Well, in this case, you're all.
Are you gonna shoot me with
admitting-
Hitler's gun?
I can't say I wouldn't use it, honestly, because I'm also the guy who would walk down. I'd pull a James and walk down the middle. In this case, the middle of my town in a full get up of
Deathcore.
Yetzcore Krieg. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this case,
poor
I'd be
neighbor having a heart
on my
attack.
street, prepared to get arrested.
Yeah, my poor neighbor was having a heart attack. She's an older German lady.
Okay.
And I showed up dressed up in my full-on Deathcore Krieg outfit and
The
knocked on
time
the
Nazis have caught me.
door. In the kitchen.
Come
she
return
had
from the
the
moon.
monitor so she could see the door. And she was just like, what the hell? I mean, it scared her, you know? They called the cops. But eventually one of the cops figured out when he saw the picture, was like, get out of here. That's a guy dressed up like it. Because, you know, cops play 40K too, right? So when they saw it, they're like, that's a 40K guy. And so they never hunted me down or anything like that. But it was fun. And then for the Halloween party, that's what I went as, Stu. And everybody was like, they're like, oh my God. Because basically, a lot of dudes showed up in nothing. And all of the women showed up as like slutty nurses or devils or witches.
Wait. Slutty nurses? That's a bit redundant, isn't it?
Yeah. And I showed up in a full Deathcore Krieg. People were just like, what the hell?
You know what, though? I shouldn't say that because Thursday night I had a pressure in my chest and it felt like I had really bad indigestion or something. And of course, your brain starts going, well, apparently the heart attack has finally arrived. And then I was able to take a muscle relaxant, went to bed, woke up Friday, same problem. We have a thing here, 811, which is like a medical service where registered nurses are there to answer your questions. And I got this really nice registered nurse, and I told her everything that was going on. She goes, okay, well, heart attacks don't last this long. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. She's like, do this. And she ran me through a whole bunch of like physical things to do. And she's like, okay, this probably was musculature. You probably pulled your muscle and didn't realize it. But here's a list of 5 things that if they happen immediately, if one of these happens, immediately go to the emergency room. But otherwise, you should be fine. And by Sunday, I was feeling much better. But it's just like, so I talk shit about nurses, but you know what? That lady put my mind at ease and made me think I wasn't dying after that panic because I'm in my 50s now. You know, your chest makes you go,
worried.
you know, so fuck it. So I take it back. Slutty nurses, God bless them. More slutty nurses for everyone, please.
I agree.
In fact, I should find a nurse to date, so I just have that like live-in healthcare. You know what I'm saying?
Just make sure she don't work in the ER. You'll be
I don't
fine.
give a fuck. Go fuck all the guys you want. I don't give a shit. I'm not with you because I'm with you because I want you to keep me alive. Go fuck whoever you need to fuck to be happy.
Well, okay then. There's nothing to say about that. It sounds like you figured it all out,
Hence why I need to find a Filipina.
right?
Filipinas, the most amount of nurses per capita of any one single people on the planet. Fuck.
They are an absolute shit ton of them for sure. And
Holy
the next up is Islanders from the Caribbean.
Yep, Caribbean. We have a ton of them here in Montreal.
Whether
Here's
Jamaican,
the difference.
Trinidad, wherever they are,
Didn't
they're
see,
there.
doesn't matter, man. But here's the thing: the Filipinas are nice.
You know what? I don't know if it's like something about my looks or something, but anytime I've been in a hospital, which has been a few times, the Jamaican nurses, I love them. They always come in. They're always like, "How you doing, sweet?"
Yeah, the Jamaican nurses I met.
Jamaicans are very, very, very different than everybody else in the Caribbean. That's what you got to remember.
Okay. I mean,
That's
I'll take your word for it.
We've got everybody here. Like in Montreal, we have a lot of Haitians because of the French, but we have Jamaicans, Trinidad, Tobago, Guadeloupe. Not Guadeloupe. What's it called? Yeah, it's Guadeloupe, isn't it?
Guadalupe is a place.
No, but is the island Guadeloupe or something? And we got everybody from all over the place. Vinci's from St. Vincent's, you name it. And the Jamaicans are the least aggressive, chillest fucking people because they're Jamaicans and they just feel better than everybody else and they're just totally okay with that. It's just really
one of the people
personality trait
I met through my wife is a female Jamaican lady that she works with.
Yeah.
And we've been out to dinner all together and stuff. And she is just amazing. I love her.
Do you guys get the Jamaican thing down there, which is the just one job mentality?
It is a fact. They do like having like 8 jobs.
Oh my God. There was a commercial they used to run off. It was in the States, but they had it here in Canada for this Jamaican. It was like for a fruit product, but the guy was a Jamaican dressed up and he's like at the bar talking to the girl and she's like, my boyfriend's a pilot. He's like, just a pilot. Come on, man.
Yeah, right. Now, Nuxenor, I have to say, I know you probably don't watch him because it's not your thing, but Nuxenor was clowning Canada and England hardcore in one of his last videos.
I don't even know who this person is that you're referring to.
He's a huge VTuber.
Okay.
And how he was clowning is he was talking about the India-Pakistan war. But every time he said India, he showed a map of Canada. And every time he said Pakistan, it was a map of England.
Surprisingly accurate.
And he was just going off about it, and how Pakistan said they shot down some Indian fighter planes, but then it turned out it was like from Arma. It was a video game. And then the military leader of Pakistan said that they would destroy the whole world rather than lose. And I'm like, that's not a way to make friends.
Yeah.
That's not a way to get a big, giant Chinese boot up your ass because they're your best buddies right now. And I love the fact that, Pakistan's in BRIC and both China and Russia, who are the bigger parts of BRIC, were both like, we completely denounce this war with India. Like, are you fucking listening, Pakistan? Stop fucking around.
The Indian army is no joke at all. They routinely stop the crap out of the Chinese whenever they have one of their dust-ups.
Yeah, India,
which happens a lot more frequently than they tell you on the news.
Oh, for sure.
Well, there's that pass in Kashmir where you can get through to China, and they're constantly effing with each other there.
Yeah. Well, China keeps doing bullshit China moves, like going, and now our border's here. And India's like, well, that's a part of our country, so fuck no, it isn't. And then they start getting troopy at the borders. It's like when you try to explain to people that China and Russia are not friends. They are merely business partners the way England and France are business partners. They still hate each other. They've just figured out it's a lot easier to make money together than shoot each other,
Yep. One of the reasons why all of the 50 billion trade sanctions we've put on Russia haven't affected Russia as much as we'd hope, because they just sell everything China.
Yeah, but that's okay, because all the trade stuff you put on China apparently is working.
And the Russians also sell everything to India too.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah, both sides have nukes.
Yeah.
But in the last 40 years, they've had 2 or 3 wars, and every time India wins. I mean, I don't know if it's numbers or maybe Hindus just don't have any F's to give, but whatever it is,
India has a disciplined modern Western army, and Pakistan is basically a giant militia.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Keep this in mind, okay? Let's say for fun they throw nukes at each other. Guess who comes out no one really wins, but guess who comes out on the very fucking obviously lower end of that spectrum?
Well, China,
Pakistan,
right there too.
Well, Pakistan, because their population is clustered in the Indus River Valley, right? It's all clustered into this one area that's right. Three nukes, they're all dead. Whereas the Indian population is literally spread in huge centers all over. You know what I mean? So, they'll lose a lot of people, but they'll still have 500 million when it's over. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where the Pakistanis will have like 10 guys standing around in their fields going, "What happened? Where did the country go?"
Well, you know you're effing
I bet
up.
you are glowing.
You know you're effing up when the Taliban send a person to you and be like, "You need to calm down, man." Because like Afghanistan sent people to Pakistan, being like, "You guys need to calm down," and Afghanistan's ruled by the Taliban now.
Yeah.
And so I mean, and those guys are already kind of crazy, but it's like because if India just starts willy nilly chucking nukes all over the place, Afghanistan knows they're going to catch one. It's going to happen, whether it's on purpose or not. But that whole part of Afghanistan that borders Pakistan is going to turn into Mad Max or more like Mad Max. And Pakistan Afghanistan don't want any part of that. They want to be left alone to abuse their women as God intended, according to them.
Hey, I've been seeing this thing flying around the internet. Hey, Bruce, I've been seeing this thing flying around the internet lately, which is that there may not be 1 billion people in China.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing that for a long time. But
Yeah.
they vastly overestimated their population.
You can't believe anything China says about anything
Yeah, no kidding. You can't.
That's fair.
because they lie about everything constantly.
Truly, truly fair.
And
build entire
their
cities
culture,
they don't
that's
even
not a
use.
bad thing.
You know
You
that
know,
they build entire cities that they don't even use.
Well, yeah, well, that's besides. It's like you have to remember that, like Sun Tzu's Art of War, like the main part of it was deception.
Yep.
So you never tell the truth to anybody if you consider them an enemy. Also, with the multiple faces, which is the face that's real, the face you show your family, the face that you show the world. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't believe anything they say about anything. India has passed China in population, though.
Oh, most
Okay.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, here's the difference. When you look at a city scene in China or anything like that, it doesn't look overcrowded, right? It looks like a burgeoning population. You look at any scene anywhere in India, and it looks like there's 1 billion fucking people there.
Yeah.
Japan's like that too. It's just you have no elbow room anywhere in those cities, just wall to wall. Thank God they're so short, or I would have suffocated in that country.
And yet, somehow, their cities are so quiet compared to ours.
You don't talk in public there without a
Yeah,
reason.
because I've
It's-
seen cameras
it's
of people
considered
walking down
incredibly
the
rude.
sidewalk, and there's like 1 billion people, and it's quiet. It's
Yeah, I
like,
feel like see a scene from their trains. Everybody's zip-lipped. You don't hold conversations in public. It's considered incredibly rude.
2007, I'm working security in Vancouver.
Mhm.
It's a Sunday morning, 8:10, 8:15. I've walked up to the SkyTrain to head home because my shift's over. There's me and a cop standing on the SkyTrain platform, about 30 feet between the two of us. The train going the other way pulls in, the doors open, and 400 women going to the March for Breast Cancer that's happening that day get off the train. And I swear to fuck, it's just noise. It just sounds like birds. Like it's just, and then they leave and they go up the thing and it just fades in the distance. And then the cop and I just looked at each other and started laughing our asses off because it was just so fucking absurd. I'm telling you, man, it was the most amazing moment of humanity I've ever seen. For just like, what the fuck was that? Like, holy shit. Bruce, what's up, man? You look like you live in a pineapple under the sea.
I'm waiting. I'm trying to find what the fuck NVIDIA fucked up my speakers on my output. So I'm using my phone to do the get together. How's everybody doing today?
Hanging in.
Good.
yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, Doc Flamingo finished his shift
My internet turned to shit.
back out, and now he's all feeling
Oh, I'm
better.
off this week. I'm on vacation.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, I just had to go pick up the guy.
Who's gonna kill the chickens if you're not there?
They'll commit
Oh,
suicide.
they have many chicken killers. None are quite as prolific or as artistic about it as I, but the chickens
You
will
are
die.
very autistic. Very
They'll just force the chickens to watch
Katy Perry.
Schumer videos from her
You-
Schumer.
Which of the eggs shall I crush?
Listen, Amy Schumer.
Yeah,
I-
they're just gonna have to watch
Kid,
the
This is
Schumer
how
lady.
Tell
talk
her
about her
she's
crotch.
autistic, so you'll
This
know.
is how
it's
far
very
down the
good.
education system has fallen. When I was in grade 3 or 4 in science class, they showed us an egg and explained the fact that you can't crush an egg point to point, right? Explaining all the physics about. We're in grade 3 or 4, and they're explaining the physics of how the egg shape puts the thing in. Meanwhile, I'm at a grocery store and I'm packing my bags and I put my eggs down in the carton and I go to put something on top of it. The kid's like, "You can't put eggs at the bottom." I'm like, "Yeah, I can." "No, you can't. They'll get crushed." I'm like, "No, they won't." And she's like, "Yeah, they will." So I took an egg out of the carton. I went, "Take it like this, just your fingers, and if you can crush the egg and break it, I'll give you $20. And he's like, "Well, I don't want to do that, man, but I could totally break it." I'm like, "What the fuck do they teach you kids in school, man? Jesus Christ!"
Oh,
Have you ever seen the trick they do with the
Well,
wine
it's considered
glasses
a
in the
non-
pickup truck?
The wine
No.
glasses in the pickup
If-
truck? No.
You take 4 wine glasses, narrow stem wine glasses, and if you set it perfectly, it will support a full size pickup truck because the glass is incredibly strong in one direction. If you touch it with your finger, they'll break because if you put any lateral motion on it, but if it's set down perfectly, it'll hold. It's hundreds of times stronger than steel in the direction of the lattice.
Physics. What a crazy thing.
yeah. So you mentioned something, Bear, and I
What I
was
mentioned.
thinking about, and then I forgot. So, and that is Quebec.
Oh yeah, what about us?
Don't those guys like threaten to become their own country about every couple years?
No, the last time it was in the 90s. They've backed off since the 90s. They've been sort of taking it slow.
In
I gotta
Shadowrun,
admire you. I really admire the Frenchish people of Quebec because they want to be like France. The French people will have an honest revolution every 7 to 8 years. And you'll see everybody out there protesting, "Viva la Revolution!" And they actually fix or change shit in France. I haven't seen it lately. I keep waiting for it. And
Okay.
I'd like to see that happen.
As someone who gets a lot of French news here, no, they don't. They don't fix shit. They just
No.
kick the can down the road till the next fucking revolution, usually.
Is that all it is? That's
Yeah.
all they're doing?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. And
You
also,
don't get the whole
Viva,
story.
Viva la Revolution is Spanish.
Yeah.
yeah,
Viva la France libre is French.
yeah.
The French just like to riot now and then.
Well, they
Or
when was the
French's
last time you heard
pastime
about
is revolutions.
They ran out of Snickers bar and the vending machine at this office building. Workers
a lot
revolt.
of the stuff is the work week, right? Like they were down to a 30-hour work week, and then the government was like, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of that," and they were like, "We will burn this fucking country to the ground, sir, if you take away our 30-hour work week."
yeah, they're like they're le roi de mort. Viva le roi.
Macron is a piece of human shit and needs to be flushed. There's a
There's
reason
even
why
weirder
the
shit
crazy
going on
right-wing
about
lady was
Macron.
getting all the
Like, they're
popularity.
claiming he married his dad.
What?
They say there are conspiracy theorists that say Macron married his dad.
Eh?
The woman Macron is with, the people who hate Macron apparently say
Which there
used
are
to
many.
be not only a man but was his dad.
I didn't
Really?
hear about the dad part, but I knew about the man part.
Yeah,
Interesting.
weird, but I mean,
It's like making jokes about Obama and Big Mike.
nah, those jokes. You want to make jokes about Ilhan Omar and the fact that she married and consummated the marriage with her own brother so that he could immigrate to America.
I saw a video today on YouTube of Ilhan Omar. I think it was Ilhan Omar. No, it wasn't her. It was someone else. Never mind. It's that other lady who looks like Ilhan Omar, but is actually on the right side of this argument. The fuck's her name?
On the right side?
Like she's Muslim, but she's like the anti-Muslim Muslim. She's the one
Is it the Danish woman who was in the parliament over there?
Ayan
Ayan
Hirsi
Hirsi Ali. Yeah.
Ayan Hirsi Ali, that's it. I always get those two mixed up because they kind of look alike.
Well,
You know,
come
they
on.
kinda- What was that noise, Leth?
My dog. She's looking at me.
Tell her to stop looking at you.
Yeah.
I think she wants to go out.
Why don't you take her out then? Nice
Oh.
dinner, maybe some dancing. You know, make a night of it.
Make a night.
We no longer have a fence, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to let her out right now.
Well, then don't let her out if you don't have a fence, because then you're going to be having to explain the dead dog to someone.
Oh, it's usually fine. I mean,
Yeah,
we don't
except
need a
when
fence.
it's not, and then you have to explain the dead dog to someone, man.
Oh,
Keep rolling those dice. Eventually, they're going to come up 0-1, baby.
That dog doesn't go very far. She's usually
Okay,
just
you
stays
take
in
your
the yard.
chances, man. You live that life on the edge. You go for
Yeah,
it.
you do you, man.
You
Hey,
do
it's not
you,
my
buddy.
fault. I wasn't the one that wanted to take the fence down. It didn't matter either way. She escaped all the time. But, you know, she keeps coming back, so it's working.
What did Miss Hirsi Ali do?
Yeah.
Oh no! I saw a video of her talking about. Wait, which one are we talking about now? The good one or the bad one?
The good one.
Ali.
Yeah, she was just talking to like college students and trying to explain to them when they're like, well, you know, if the infanticide came to America and we had Sharia law, I'd just convert to Islam and be fine. She's like, that's great for you. What about all your Jewish neighbors? And she just starts explaining all the people. What about all your gay friends? What about all your single mothers? And she just starts explaining all the people that will slowly be fucking dealt with by a Sharia law society. And these fucking college kids, like, you can tell no one teaches them anything because they're like, no, because obviously Gaza is the land of the free. You know, like Gaza is just an innocent little place that was minding its own business, and then one day the big bad Jew came over and punched him in the nose. You know, like God,
There is a reason no Muslim country in the Middle East will allow a single Palestinian refugee in. It's because they tried it, and it was a disaster across the board. Lebanon wound up being the place it was because they let in Palestinians. They're the ones who. It used to be called, what was it, the Paris of
Paris of the Mediterranean.
and now Paris is sadly the Beirut of fucking
Yeah,
Europe.
exactly. Europe.
Now there's
Like-
not even a Paris of France.
Like your brother always says, as they say in Paris, salam alaikum. You know?
Yeah, it's like, but
Sadat was killed by Palestinian refugees in Egypt. They won't let them in because they run wild whenever they let them into their countries. Jordan had a civil war over letting Palestinians in.
Well, there's another reason too, by the way. They do it to keep pressure on Israel. Like that's the other reason they don't let them in. Is because by keeping them right there on Israel's doorstep causing shit, they weaken Israel in their minds.
yeah, because all those
Don't
rockets
forget,
are-
all these assholes decided to declare war on Israel at the same time at one point, and Mossad found out, so Israel did it a day early against all of them and went, all right, fuck all y'all, and attacked all of them at one time. You know, come
Six-day
on,
war.
right?
Yeah, 6-day war, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And they kicked the shit out of them.
But
Because Israel in this scenario is essentially India in that other scenario we were discussing, which is like, yeah, it's nice y'all want to fight us, but we'll kick the fuck out of you, you know? I don't get this world.
me neither, because it's like you would think, and there used to be a song back in the 80s about it. It was like, do the Russians love their children too?
Sting.
Yeah, this thing.
Thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I really like that song quite a bit because it kind of, you know, humanizes the other guy, you know, and you're like, they are people, right? But in Gaza, the mom is teaching her 5-year-old kid to run out at a tank with a grenade. And it's like, so they don't love their kids. It's like, you know, if you loved your children, you would not train them to do this shit. You would
Hey,
want
Cody.
the best for them.
There's There's a documentary, a BBC documentary I saw by what's his name? He did Hypernormalization, which was a really good one. Century of Self, but Hypernormalization. He winds up getting into how the whole documentary is basically how the fuck did we get to this point, and he
Right.
shows how it was Papa Assad, the father, who is the son there now, but the father that was who basically created modern terrorism, because basically he had a plan to unify all the Middle Eastern nations, all the Muslim nations into one thing, and the Americans, Kissinger was going, yeah, we're with you, and then went behind his back and made a separate deal with Egypt. And that pissed him off so much. He looked at what was going on in the Iran-Iraq war and went, wait, we can convince people to die for God by blowing up and going after the enemy? Huh. And he basically imported that concept into Syria, which then it spread out to the rest of the Middle East. It was just a weird Iran-Iraq thing that was going on. And then all of this modern suicide bomber shit was because of that fucking prick. You know, like he's just a
And the
piece of
next
shit.
thing you know, you got people driving trucks in the Marine barracks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What's
the early Islamic terrorists in the like 60s and early 70s they weren't doing it. It was like Black Sunday with like, remember Carlos the Jackal, he called himself.
Yeah.
He was actually, I think he was Egyptian actually. Yeah, he never attempted to blow himself up. He got away with it for years.
They were into blowing things up,
Yeah.
hijacking planes, and taking hostages. That was what they were all about. And then
And then
suddenly,
at some point, they're like, screw it. Put the vest on.
well, when I used to teach, and I had a lot of Middle Eastern, especially Egyptians for some reason, but I had a lot of Middle Eastern students. They were all giggling their ass off one day as they were reading this Egyptian newspaper. I'm like, what is it? And they showed me the cartoon, but it's all in Farsi, so I can't fucking read it. I don't know what the fuck this is in Arabic, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And he goes, oh, and it's a picture of a guy, and he's got a detonator and a vest, and a bunch of guys watching him, and he's saying something. And this is in an Egyptian fucking newspaper, and the translation was Suicide Bomber School. Okay, pay attention. I only show you this one time. So, like, it's good to know that even in the Middle East, there are people who see the absurdity of all of this. You know what I mean? And understand that it's not a way to run the world. That gives me hope.
Oh,
Yeah.
who was that comedian who did who was like the ventriloquist guy who did the
Oh, that's
terrorism thing?
Jack Dunham.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Jeff
he,
Dunham.
Jeff
he
Dunham.
did that in the Middle East, and it was like hugely popular.
I can't stand that guy. That guy annoys the living shit.
Quite a bit,
That
'cause
was
it kinda,
ventriloquist.
humanized.
Well, love him or hate him, he found a way to make a living with a completely useless skill set.
I'll be right back.
So, you know, there
I'm
is
gonna
that.
put my dinner in the oven. I'll be right back. I'm not gonna leave, but I'm gonna mute.
Okay.
Shit.
Everybody's like, I'm out of here.
As much as I enjoy Jeff Dunham, I have to admit it is a useless skill set.
Right? But hey, he made a whole living out of it. He, took care of one wife and a bunch of kids, and now he's taking care of another wife and some kids. I mean, you go, Jeff. I mean, you're doing your thing over here.
I find this stuff kind of funny. He made some funny jokes with some of those puppets.
Yeah, do you know the age of his new wife?
No. Go over here.
It's the whole Hollywood thing. She's basically half his age.
Well, I mean, that's what they do.
Hey, as long as she's legal, I'm not going to complain.
I mean, that's what he wants to do.
I know she isn't
do
quite.
it because
He's not doing a Jersey
I know
Lewis.
she was either her late or she was either her late 20s or early 30s, and Dunham was like in his late 40s, early 50s, so right around half his age.
well, at least he's not still, Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
They turn 23 and they're out.
Yeah, like 23, you're done.
You're too old for me.
Yeah.
But it's like, at my age, even if the opportunity was there for some reason that I don't even want to consider, I would never date anyone under 45 or 50 because I'd probably just never date anyone to be.
The minimum age you want to date is like 37 in South Texas and 40 everywhere else, because
I suspect. Sorry,
there's a reason for this. You don't want to have a woman that's got kids in the house. You want to get her when she's freshly got empty nest syndrome, and you can kind of like slide on in there, and she's starting to go out of her gourd, and you can just give her the vitamin D, and then you can like she starts to go nuts, like, oh my god, my kids are gone. I'm gonna like it's all right, and she goes crazy, and instead she gets hooked on vitamin D instead of worrying about other problems. It's great.
Yeah, I remember that rap song. It was by this guy called Too Short, and the name of the song was Stepdad. Like there's a verse in there, and it's like, most of the time you might be eating hamburger, but when I come around, you'll be eating steak. And he's directing that towards all the kids.
Yep.
And then he's talking about how he's going to take their 21-year-old mama upstairs and knock the bottom out of it. But he's going to play with the kids and hang out and be a good stepdad while he's rolling through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there is a game. There is a set of rules you have to abide by.
Yeah.
Don't be like me and think that you've got a more privileges than what you got. And like, there was one kid, I was dating this lady in Corpus Christi years and years ago. She had this little bastard of a child, and he was just hateful of all the soon-to-be stepdads that wanted to be in her life. She was a good-looking lady, but he was a little shit. And he was like being a dick one day, so I gave him some Benadryl. And then she found out, like, man, he hasn't came in. Usually, the moment we start making out, he comes in. I'm like, yeah, he was tired. He wasn't feeling good. She's like, I'm going to go check on him. And then she's like, did you give him Benadryl? He asked. He said he wasn't feeling good, so I gave him that. So we stopped seeing each other after that point. She got out of hand mentally. She was already nuts. But I thought I was being a good guy, and I was going to get some peace both ways. And it didn't work out for me.
Yep. Yeah. I
think I'm gonna have to head off here for now. I'll see you.
See you then. I don't know what any of that would be like.
You're better off where you're at right now. I can say that, James.
Yeah.
Did you see the video yesterday when Macron and everybody looked like they were doing like We Miss Hunter Biden, and they had like powder on their fucking nose? Did you see that?
That's what somebody mentioned earlier, and it wouldn't surprise me.
Not at all.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, you know, now the good thing is, depending on who you are, a little bit of that action will help you get shit done.
Like throw your rivals into prison. He got that done real quick.
You will get shit done. It may not be good stuff, but you're going to get it done.
What are we talking about?
Macron doing blow.
I mean, I didn't even think about, because I just assumed that it was the way it was. You know, it's like
they're acting like that didn't happen, but we have a video of it. It looks like they're doing blow.
Look, a rich, powerful man with a shit ton of money doing coke? No,
I know, right?
No.
Why is the mainstream media like, oh, that would never happen? Not in a million years would we have our esteemed leader doing such a ribald narcotic.
Well, because they're idiots.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If they had just like been honest, they'd been like, if Macron had been like, hey, I was partying, you know, I was out, it was a party, you know how it gets wild out there sometimes. So
I was going to fix the economy, but then I got high.
Exactly. You know, and he's just like, hey, I bumped a line or two, but you know, in France it's legal, so whatever. And I would have been like, well, okay then.
But
Coke's not legal in France.
But it should be. But if he was in Portugal, though, it is.
in certain areas.
So he could have been like, "Look, I was in Portugal. You
I was in
know,
that park. We were allowed to be.
people were
It was
like,
very nice.
passing shit
We came
around.
with
I thought I'd do
sardines.
it
I
all."
bought knick-knack and I do some blow. It
That
was
would
good. I do it of a 15-year-old girl ass. She
That
was
would- that really explains a lot.
I was in Portugal.
This is so.
Which would be legal.
I swear, like when we were in Lisboa, we had like we only had a ship of 84 people. Our mine countermeasure ship was smaller than James's house. Okay, it was a tiny boat, and it made it across the ocean. I was so proud of it. But we got to Lisboa after like 6 other countries, and we hadn't had anything really shaken up yet. Then all of a sudden, we had like 7 guys like get yanked off the brow as they're trying to come across, and they get immediately put with a master at arms. And there's a guy with a pecker checker. I need to see you urine in the cup, you know. And they do their test, and 7 guys have to go and talk to somebody more important than our captain. And it's not really a good thing for the USS Defender. That's all I'm going to say. The USS Defender did not have a good sail in 1995. I left the ship in Rota, and they went on to fucking part of Palermo, and they burned a fucking hotel, a shed, and part of a tree down.
Yep, them's
If
Navy
that
men.
was true Congress. That's true, Daryl. You do make a good counter argument. Because we all know half of Congress is doing that shit.
I just wish they would do cocaine and then like fix themselves.
But
By
yeah.
the way, Carlos the Jackal was from Spain. He was not a
Was he? I thought he was actually.
Ilich
Who is-
Ramirez Sanchez is his real name.
Who is the Egyptian guy who called himself the Jackal? So I'm
I don't
pretty
know
sure
who that
there
is,
was an
but
Egyptian
Carlos
Jackal.
the Jackal was a Spaniard.
I thought there was an Irish jackal too at one point.
Oh, that's just the band U2.
That's Connell out there. Andy's out there trying to get all hard. I need an animal name. Give me an animal name. Jackal. There we go. There's like 7 guys with a jackal name. Shut up.
Yeah.
Harumph.
Shut up. I'm the jackal now. Look into my eyes.
Everybody, Steve will be the Jackal today. And then tomorrow, Bobby will be the Jackal. And then for the weekend, no Jackal. We take the Jackal off for the weekend, okay? Okay, good. Go
Okay.
blow up the infidels. Go.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know where
having
that guy's from, but I love his accent.
Weekend. I want to be the sand spider. It sounds scary.
Sam Spider.
That was the guy in True Lies.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite 90s movie after Terminator 2.
It was a good movie.
One of my favorites. The soundtrack to that movie really hits.
Well, I mean, when Schwarzenegger's hiding in the chair in the dark and he forces Jamie Lee Curtis to strip and dance.
okay.
on
So I'm watching this movie with my mother, and we're enjoying the movie and having a grand old time. And then that scene happens, and I'm like, it's never been more uncomfortable in my life.
I got one better for you. So my grandparents just got HBO. We're living out in the sticks. They're 2 houses away from me, and they insist on having HBO. My grandpa loves his violence and car chases, so they get HBO, and so we have a big family get together. And tonight, a new movie is going to be on, and I'm on leave. The movie of tonight, I have no idea what this is about. It's called Night Moves with Chris Lambert.
Oh boy.
The fucking opening scene of Night Moves, like he's not like really truly pounding her like an ape, but about everything that you could show in an R-rated movie is shown in the first couple minutes. I'm just there looking down. Hi guys. Yeah, I didn't pick this. My grandfather picked this movie. My little cousins are there, Nicole and Rachel. My mom is there. She's looking like she wants to go read some Bible verses right now. She wants to take me to go read Bible verses too, because Chris Lambert's having a hot chick or something. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones, and there wasn't a lot of nudity. It was mostly the guys going across the wall and getting killed by the whites and
Did
shit
you-
like that. And I was
Just
like,
watch
this is
season 1, episode
awesome.
1.
And then you sit down with your mom and like episode 2 comes on and it's just like, I'm out. You're like, nope.
The fucking
It's
Jason
like,
Momoa
I'm
reaching
sorry.
around, grabbing a handful of her titty.
Yeah, it's just like, nah, I'm sorry. I can't do this.
I thought that was a really like risky thing they put on TV. I couldn't believe HBO had that.
I think the main reason people watched Game of Thrones was the nudity and stuff. 'Cause,
Oh yeah,
I mean,
HBO is full of that crap.
No,
it
it's
was
not.
just
No.
softcore porn.
No, it's not. There's a TV show that everybody should watch called The Wire.
Oh well, The Wire, yeah.
The Wire, there's no nudity in it. Everybody gets shot to fucking hell, but there's not a.
Well, that's where Littlefinger comes from.
You guys realize Europe is just laughing at you right now, right? They're like, really? Titties bother you, but you're okay with people getting blown away on screen and blood and guts and gore?
I'm okay with titties too.
No, but no,
Yeah.
like you know, and I'm not joking because I grew up in this. I grew up between the two cultures, right? Because that's one of the weird parts about living in Quebec is you get a very European influence as well as because of the French side of shit,
Right.
and it's so weird. Like on French Euro TV, not a lot of murder. Like it's implied, it's hidden, it's shown the after effect. Not a lot of like bullet go through skull, brain splatter on the wall. But lots of blowjobs and lesbianism and all this other shit that's airing at a time kids can watch. And then Americans, by converse, are just like murdering everybody in sight on their TV shows, but you better not see a nipple, motherfucker. 'cause
My biggest complaint was Stephen J. Cannell. He was
Stephen
the
J.
guy.
Cannell? What's wrong with
Yeah.
Stephen J. Cannell?
He did the A Team,
Yes, he did.
and he did a lot of other stuff. But the A Team came on at 8:00 at night, and they expended more fucking ammunition in that TV show than a single
But
canon film.
no one died.
And nobody died. They had stormtrooper training. I swear to God.
They had
Show.
G.I. Joe Cobra trainers. That's what that is. They were all parachuting out at the last second. Cobra!
I was so upset about that. And then you have don't even get me started on G.I. Joe because fucking Hama wanted to write a good serial that showed like various sides of like conflict and military service, and Sunbow Hasbro's like, but nobody dies. And you can see him just die on the inside.
Yeah, except that cartoon was huge and he made it like $1 bajillion off it. So Larry Hama can whine all the way to the bank and wipe his tears with $100 bills as far as I'm
Yeah.
I'm
What,
sorry.
what was
Nothing pisses me off more than someone who's made $1 bajillion off their property whining about how it was handled. Like, shut up.
Oh, I
Right.
saw your boy the other day.
My boy?
Oh, your boy from Minnesota.
My boy from Minnesota?
Oh yeah.
What Max say?
He was giving a speech and he's like, I joined the Navy when I was 18 years old.
Oh God, that faggot.
And then I went
who's
through
that?
SEAL training and they sent me to Vietnam.
Oh, the show me to Vietnam. I went down there. I was that's what I did. And now I live in the Baja where I invented the
No, his next thing was I came back to America and he said, I went to my commander and requested to go back to Vietnam. And the commander was like, why? And he said, because in Vietnam, I can drink. Right? And they're like, I'm sorry, it don't work that way. And he's like, so you see, he's in front of Congress. And he's like, so you see, I went overseas and killed a lot of people. And then I came home and I couldn't drink or vote. He said, so in effect, the United States uses child soldiers. And, I mean, it took him a while to get there, but he got there. And I'm sitting here as a guy who joined the Army at 17, and I'm like, no lies detected. I mean, you know,
out of line, but he's right.
he's out of line, but he's right. You know, and of
Funny.
course, every time I see him now, I immediately think of you.
Well, that's your pleasure. Thank you kindly. I appreciate that.
I mean, he's just
When I was making Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I said, "What if the alien was invisible? Because in Vietnam, There were these Viet Cong special forces that could turn invisible.
Did you ever see the footage of Van Damme in a stupid rubber mantis outfit?
Oh, it is so hilarious. It is so hilarious.
In the original Predator, the minigun was in the script supposed to be Schwarzenegger's weapon.
Dutch was supposed to have it.
And Schwarzenegger's like, no. And Jesse picked that bitch up and he's like, this is all me, man. Plus, Jesse Ventura apparently was teaching the other crew members of the film
He was doing
like
weapons
how
training.
to do actual shit.
He did the weapons training and tactics training in Mexico when they shot. I mean, a lot of that movie is Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. When he spits on that guy's foot.
Turn into a sexual Tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Yeah. And his best friend was the one sergeant that was always shaving.
Mac.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight.
We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight. But he's losing his
He's
shit.
got that
Oh, my God.
freaking special forces set up M60. Yeah, man. Such a great movie. One of the best. Well, probably the best action film. And anytime anyone starts talking about DEI and shit, that is the film I always refer them to. I'm always like, go watch Predator. That's how you do it right. Once we're warriors with my mom and my girlfriend.
That's a
movie,
that's a
but
hard
good.
film to watch, man.
Yeah.
What's that?
Once we were wars, it's the Maori, the film about the Maori in New Zealand.
Oh,
Like, it's the reservation system they live on, and all the the abuse and generational alcoholism and stuff like that. It's a great fucking movie. Like, it is a really good movie, and it's got Jango Fett is the star of it.
oh wow.
It was his big first movie.
Well, I mean, we in America have kind of the same issues with our reservations.
Yeah.
Because I know on the reservations I've been on, which equals 2, alcohol is illegal, and they have huge problems with non-consensual struggle cuddles and assaults.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's nuts.
And lots of familial struggle cuddles.
Yeah.
We have the
I
same
mean,
problem here in
it's
Canada.
really, it's not a good thing.
Have
And
you guys seen that movie Wind River?
what?
Wind River with the B crew from Avengers, the girl that plays not Romanoff, the witch, the Red Witch, and then you got Hawkeye. He's in it, but that's a real good movie, and it kind of shows you when you go onto a reservation in America. American laws just stop. They stop at that border, and you have to have a liaison that is approved by the reservation to do their work to bring things to America, and then they have their own version of police.
Yeah, res cops.
Yeah, the res cops. It's a very good film, but it's kind of a difficult watch because it has a really bad struggle snuggle at the heart of it. And at the very end, there is a good payoff. But
Yeah, the res cops basically call the shots with local and state police. But if it's a federal cop, like from the Department of the Interior type guy, then he can roll on to that reservation and tell the res cops to get fucked. It's weird, right?
it's a
Now-
movie, so they don't have that quite in it. It seems like the res leads the way on their
Oh,
property.
they do. 99.9% of the time they do. I'm just saying, if a Fed cop shows up, all of a sudden all bets are off. Because the reservations, while they are technically enclaves, they're still subject to federal bullshit. But like a res cop can tell like a local cop to get fucked and get off the res.
So when we had the Oka crisis here in the 90s, where some developers decided they were going to build golf courses on native land, and the natives said, no, we're not fucking having that. And they had a big fucking thing where they were blockading bridges and all this kind of shit. the RCMP was sent in. They were going to bring in the Canadian Armed Forces. My friend Trish was from the res close here to the city, and we were all at college together. And because no one could get across the bridge, the Mercier Bridge, her family, her uncle would just put her in a fucking like a little fishing, like a motorboat, and take her across the river and jump her off so she could go catch a bus and go to school every day. And her cousin was a former American Special Forces sniper who spent the entire Oka crisis in the trees in camo with a 50 cal, picking random cops and government officials that were there talking and putting them in the hairs, waiting for the word to pull the trigger. And he was like, because the Mohawks had decided, fuck it. They want to kick it off, we're going to kick it off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's the way it is. And I'm like, Jesus, the stories that came out afterwards that like no one knew about at the time that were suddenly showing up in the paper and stuff was like, oh, this would have been real bad if the cops had gotten a little too uppity. Like, if the cops had gotten a little too coppish, it would have gone really bad real fucking fast.
We had a situation like that in America, but it ended like everything in America ends, which is federal cops came in and put the boot to everybody.
Ruby Ridge, which one?
This was Indians.
Oh,
These
really?
were Indians. It was AIM, the American Indian, whatever. They
American
like
Indian movement.
they took over some federal shit and was like, you know, trying to protest, and the feds just rolled in and steamrolled them.
Yeah.
And it was like, damn. I think that was Lakota Sioux though that had done that. As our Lakota, but
you know how China over reports its population? I think Native North Americans are secretly underreporting their population. So that one day when they decide to uprise, there's going to be like, where did this extra 5 million of them come from? Fuck.
do you want to hear something crazy about? I'm going to tell you anyway, whether you want to hear it or not, right?
Fair.
So some of you may have heard that there was a time when I dated a Ojibwa girl whose dad and everything lived up on that island near Canada. You know what I'm talking about, between Michigan and Canada there?
Lake Superior, yeah.
Right. She had a brother. Her brother married a white woman, had a bunch of kids, and every one of his kids got their tribal card. She had a kid with a white guy, not me, and got her tribal shit stripped. I was like, when I found out about it, I was just like, and they're like, that's the way it is with the Ojibwa. It's like, if you're a man, you can marry whoever you want, and they are considered part of the tribe. But if you're a woman and you go outside the tribe, you're on your own. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right. I mean, you know, okay. But her brother, the first time I met him, I swear I thought he was Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of them have that kind of vague look about them.
Well, they
so
are all Asiatic. They're
So
Asiatic.
if you go to the plains, the prairies in Canada, and you look at a lot of the rituals and powwows they do there and the costuming, and then you go look at the native people in Kyrgyzstan, I'm telling you, you will be hard pressed. If I put two pictures up, you'd be hard pressed to tell me which one was the Native North Americans and which one was the Kyrgyz, unless there are mountains in the background where the Kyrgyz had mountains and we don't.
Yeah, they got the Altai.
Yeah. So if I put the two pictures up, you'd be like, oh, you'd have like the costuming's almost identical. The way they pattern, eagles and stuff. It's really, really intense. It's really kind of cool, actually. I did it.
Yeah. I mean, warrior cultures and all that sort of thing. But when I say Chinese, I mean, what I should have said is he looked Chinese. His skin was as pale as any Chinese person you ever saw. He had the same eyes. He looked Asian. I don't know how it happened because they all don't look that way.
No.
Like some of them have that more dark,
look more Mongolian
complexion, and but this guy, he had his black hair tucked back. He looked Asian.
I used to work with a bouncer in Vancouver,
which is
who was
like, all
Indian,
right.
who was Indian, and I'm not talking native. I'm talking Indian, Suki, and Suki literally 100% looked like the Chicago Blackhawks logo. Like, I'm telling you, he could cosplay as the Chicago Blackhawks logo if he wanted to. Like, he looked exactly the same. This motherfucker, an Indian, okay, like not white, not Native North American, from India, wound up in so tight with the Hells Angels in Vancouver, he wound up running a crew for them.
Hey, if there's one thing that can be said about Indians from India, it is they are an industrious people.
They are an industrious people. It's like that Russell Peters bit about Indian slaves. He goes, "I can't believe there's Indian slaves," because the mash should be like, hey, Habib, go pick that cotton. Okay, wait, okay, I tell you what, okay, why don't you pick the cotton? I told my brother who has a manufacturing plant in Bangladesh, we sell T-shirts and make money.
Right. I love watching, and I know that for Americans, a lot of people would never even get near it. But watching like the cooks make the food for like Indian weddings, and it is insane because if these are high caste, like wealthy Indian people, they'll have like 1,000 people at their wedding. Like the bride and the groom will arrive to the wedding ceremony on the back of an elephant. You know what I mean? And they're cooking this, what is it, biryani? In a dish that's half the size of this room I'm sitting in. You know what I mean? The biryani. And it's just like, I'll tell you what, they take weddings very serious over there. But I mean, your parents pick your spouse. So
I had a friend that was from India when I was growing up, and in my 20s, I should say.
yeah.
And he was exiled. He was not allowed to talk to people from his culture. He was in Champaign, Illinois, and then he moved down to East St. Louis, and he was a divorce lawyer. Because he went the route of divorce lawyer, his entire family was like, "No, we're done with you. You're going to do something that we value. We have no value in divorce."
I tell
And
you, I've told my mom more than once that the idea of parents picking the spouse for their children, I'm not necessarily opposed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if I'm like 18 years old and my mom chose a wife for me, first off, my mom loves me. So she's going to choose the best wife she can for me. And, if you're with them long enough, you'll learn to love them.
Yeah, I
Ted,
couldn't trust my mother, not because she doesn't love me.
See, that's
Yeah, I couldn't trust my mother, not because she doesn't love me or I don't love her. My mother is a terrible judge of character.
well,
you know
that's
what
just
your mom
sad.
needs? You know what your mom needs then? Your mom needs to get a dog and let that be the judge. Because I've never been screwed. When a dog doesn't like somebody that's around, there's a reason why that dog's being a dick to that person. That person's not good.
Dogs are generally pretty good judges of character. Cats are just plotting to eat you.
Yeah, don't have a cat.
But yeah, I've always, when people are like, "Oh my God," and I don't know, maybe it's I watch Fiddler on the Roof too much or something, but I really thought about it. And I was like, would I have been okay with my wife being picked for me by my mom? Probably. I probably would have ended up married to the woman I'm married to, just much earlier with a lot less kerfluffle. Because my mom absolutely loves my wife. So if not her, it would have been someone directly like her,
Wasn't the guy that was in that movie, didn't he later play the scientist in Flash Gordon?
Of course he did. That's Topol.
Papa.
Dr. Hans Zarkov.
Yep, Topol.
James, I showed this earlier when you were disconnected. I have to show it to you because you didn't see it. So I have a guy in Ontario that I buy secondhand gaming stuff from. The guy's an amazing collection. His prices are really good, and he's really cool. So I bought a couple of 5th edition things I needed for the campaign I'm running on Wednesdays. Took him 2 weeks to ship them out, so he felt really bad about it. So I got the box today. I opened it up. There's the 5e stuff, and then inside is this.
Oh, look at that.
And this.
That's the 2E stuff,
And
right?
this. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Just the 2.5 stuff. He knew I was
Oh, and
interested
that's
in
the
it.
good monstrous compendium because
Yeah.
the one I saw originally,
The binder.
the binder, that was so terrible. That was another
It was
reason I
super.
didn't go hard into it.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
felt bad that he had taken him 2 weeks to get my package in the mail. He threw some extra shit in for me, man. I was like really fucking surprised.
that's a good guy though, because
Yeah.
now he knows. Yeah, he gave you some stuff to make up for not quite getting shit where it needed to be when it needed to be.
Yeah.
But he's also probably, if he's smart, he's like, I got a customer for life now.
Oh yeah, I've said a few people to him already that were looking in Canada, were looking for stuff, and I put them in touch with them, and they all came back and said, "Holy shit, this guy's amazing! His prices are really good." It's like, yeah,
Treat your customers good, over deliver. You're gonna have customers forever. I mean, that's
under promise, over deliver.
yeah, and if something goes bad, apologize and make it
Make
right.
it right.
And that's all any man, all he wants is for whoever he's buying stuff from to look him right in the eyes and tell him this is what happened. I'm going to make it right.
Yep.
And most people on the planet, if you do that, they're going to be like, all right, because most people aren't assholes. They're not going to try and carry you out. If you let them know what's up, they're going to be like, yeah.
So
We've all been
I
there.
don't know. I only played original 2E. I never played the 2.5 stuff.
There's no difference.
Is it worth it to pick up the player options, the other books they put out in the
I
Black?
would say no.
The options can make the game very cumbersome.
I understand that.
also,
Are
they
they
were
worth
not
reading? Are they a
like
good
that.
read? Are they a good read, though? That's my question.
Yeah, not really.
No.
What do you mean, like the Splat books that came out?
No,
they
it's about combat and tactics
complete
and
handbooks.
spells
They
and
did
magic
like
and
two or three
skills and
other.
powers.
Yeah, it's combat and tactics, player options, and spells.
Spells and magic, player options and skills, and
Oh.
combat. Yeah,
Yeah,
but those three are not necessary. There's a few new spells in there. I would skip that. And if you can get a hold of the wizard spell compendium and the priest spell compendium on PDF for yourself on
I
your
have all the PDFs, dude.
okay, then get
my
those
collection.
and read those instead because that can make a game more fun. But don't get those 3 books. They're not fun reads. They're very cumbersome in play. It makes shit go from 5-minute combat round at high level to 20-minute combat round at high level. You're better off. No, don't do it.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
introduces a bunch of needless stuff. But
And
as far as the Splat books, though, Arms and Armor, the Castle book,
I have Arms and Armor.
the
We used to
Castle
have
book,
the Complete
and
Fighters.
the Humanoid book are all pretty cool to read.
Complete Fighters was the best one. I'm sorry. And I will say this based on the only fact that I say that is this. The only class that needed a complete book was the fighter to make them more than just what the shit they were coming up, right? So for me, I'm like, but complete priest, complete wizard, complete barbarian, like just
need
not
those.
needed.
you don't need those.
Those
Yeah.
were not needed.
And I don't even think you need the complete fighter book. And
On the weapon groups were amazing, man. I loved weapon groups.
I say that as somebody who always plays a human fighter. And somebody was talking shit last night on the Monday show because they're like, can be anything. This was the quote: can be anything he wants, chooses to be human fighter. Hey, how you doing, Ultra American? And I'm like, I see that point. I really do. The whole, you can be imaginative, you can do all this thing, but at the end of the day, nothing screams hero like a human fighter.
Those were always my favorite
whether
characters.
it's Aragorn, Boromir, Beowulf. I mean, I'm too, I guess, immersed into the myth of the hero. And let's be honest, it's not a freaking elf. Even Boromir's death had this massive redemption arc. Because first he tried to be a dick, then he realized he was being a dick, and then he threw his life down to try to save the halflings. And he died for it, And it's like, I love that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just the normal, not special human fighter that's willing to do what has to be done. But I mean, some people want to play frickin' gnomes, which I'm okay with. Whatever. Play
Well,
your gnome.
hey,
Enjoy
man,
it.
come on. Janet plays a gnome, and she does it very well.
Right. I mean, I've got 2 people playing gnomes at my table. They do great. They run around, and one of them's always carrying a bag of cookies and trying to offer it to people for some reason. I think she thinks gnomes are Keebler elves or something. I don't know what her thing is.
I live in a tree and bake cookies.
She's always trying to give people cookies, though. And the other one's real quiet because he's a fighter illusionist, so he just kind of hangs back. But most of the group are humans, and that's 8 players. 2 gnomes, 6 humans. Well, one of them's an elf, I think. So, yeah. 3
Although I
dwarf
think that
died
big
in the Monday night game. Yeah, the fact that you had a dwarf with 3 hit points, yeah, that'll do it. You need to tell your DM to at least give your characters max hit points at first level.
Disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. The reason why I disagree is this. I set my game like at first level with my system, your con, mirror that to your hit points. You get your con and hit points. Then you have your die roll. So if you're a marshal, which you're not a fighter at first level, you're a kid. So you're either a marshal or an adept or a skilled individual. You're not a thief or a magician. You're not even, you haven't cut your teeth yet. So if you're a marshal, you get a D8 hit points. That's the biggest hit die there is. You get your con, that's your hit points. You get your D8 on top of that. And there, people are like, oh my God, I might have like 20 hit points. You might, you're right. But if you get a fucking max result on any damage die, the die explodes.
So, Bruce, in my OSC game, I
Yes,
did
sir.
that. Doc can attest. Having all those extra hit points, how'd they work out for you, Doc?
How many times have you
They
died?
depleted very rapidly.
How many characters died in the first 6 sessions?
It was
I don't
more-
know how many in the first
Yeah,
6,
something like
but I
that.
think it was 12 total.
13. It was lucky number 13 died in the first 6 sessions, despite having their con score and a full hit die for hit points.
That was one of the funniest live plays I ever watched.
That was hilarious.
It was
that the one where
just-
Janet died playing their bard character?
That's where Janet was playing the flute as they were being killed by arrows.
It was like it was as if Bear had somehow combined D&D with the Keystone Cops.
I didn't do shit.
I mean,
That
for
was
a game.
all them.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. You were just running the damn game. The players were all over the damn place.
Oh my fuck.
They were just out there living their best lives.
That's
Dude,
No
very
cell
end.
phones, no computers, just people living life and being murdered by ghouls and leaving their companions behind
That makes
and
me so happy to hear that.
and not sticking together. And
I'm just so happy to hear this. It's not
no,
just my
it
group.
was hilarious, and not just because they're dying, but the players were funny. They were just being funny. And Bear's running this game, and the players are running back and forth and doing crazy shit. It was better than any Critical Role campaign I've ever caught 5 minutes.
And meanwhile, the chat's accusing me of being a mean DM. That was my favorite part of
I
it.
saw somebody being like, how dare you throw them up against all those ghouls? And you're like, well, they have 30 hit points each. It's like they should have been able to handle that shit. But, like at one point, they had tuck a rope down to a lower level. Janet was still on the top level, sticking her head down, playing the flute or some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, wow.
Like, I know she was trying to help, but it was just so funny. She's like, well, I lean in and I play my flute. Like, now they have a dirge to listen to if they're getting hit by goblin arrows.
Yeah, it was just like the best, And to be fair to the players, man, they rolled bad.
Oh, yeah.
It was like every time somebody was rolling a die 20, they were getting ones. And it's just like, ugh. You know, because I was pulling for you guys, Doc. I was like, come on, Doc, you guys can do this. No.
No, we could have done it, but
I'd rather play Thirsty Sword with lesbians. It's about the same thing, really, right?
Why not both? Why not watch Critical Role play Thirsty Sword Lesbian? Man.
That can be Gary.
I tune in, check it out.
Campaign.
Oh, that reminds me. I seen I didn't actually watch it, but I seen a video about a live play, so I went to watch a little bit of it. And these people, like, I don't know if they still do, but like, because this was from years ago, they based their entire game off of Critical Role. Not everything Critical Role did. All the roles Critical Role louched out. That would be their role for whatever they were doing.
You would be surprised with how many players there are that are exactly that way. That's that. I mean, years ago, fortunately, we don't have to hear about it anymore. But years ago, when the Mercer effect was in full effect and people had to explain to new players that watching 3 series of Critical Role and then showing up at the table expecting to play that was an unrealistic expectation. Even Matt Mercer put out like a PSA saying, hey, you know, I run this game, you know, the way I run it.
Well, the thing is, James, it wasn't like they were trying to copy Critical Role. It's like, well, for example, let's use you. You were the GM, so whatever the GM glouches out for the numbers he rolled, you say that for whatever you say you rolled for the situation. Bear will say he takes the monk, and whatever the monk character says he rolled out when Bear goes to do an action, that's the number he has to use. That's what they were doing.
What fucking mental masturbation are you talking about, sir?
That's
I can't remember. I started watching that, and that's what they were doing. It's like, oh god, this is no, and I stopped watching it.
I'm
never
sorry.
seen channel 6.
I'm going to use the R word. That's fucking retarded.
I agree.
I just got to say that before Critical Role came out and ruined the game, there was the fucking Geek and Sundry people that Will Wheaton was trying to change the face of tabletop gaming. And thank God that didn't work. But man,
there's someone I cannot stand. It's Patton Oswalt. But it's also Will Wheaton, and it's also Felicia Day. I cannot stand those 3 people. Their fucking nerd cred fame in the early 2011s, 2012s era, that period, they just fucking glad it's over. I'm so glad it's over.
I look at Will Wheaton as kind of like a warning of what not to do. Because when Geek and Sundry first came out, he was at the top of nerd culture. He was like the king of all the nerds. And somehow, in the course of 3 or 4 years, he managed to make himself one of the most hated people on the planet.
he did a good job of that.
But
He worked very hard at
I
it.
watched Geek and Sundry when it came out first, and it was okay. It was just a bunch of people sitting around playing board games and shit. I mean, however I felt about the people was notwithstanding, they were just playing board games. And sometimes, you know, like they had, you know, Steve Jackson on or whoever. They had like the one Asian kid from Mythbusters, you know, and it was just like, it was cool. 2-hour live stream on Rumble last week talking about Mad as Hell, the anti-capitalist demon hunting RPG. Not making this up. Yeah. But they're trying to sell it. It's like
$54,000 Canadian. Sorry, that's 29,000 pounds they've raised so far on it with 18 days to go.
Why are you worried about pounds? You need to worry about dollars.
Yeah.
And they're stealing the line from fucking Network, which what these cunts don't represent was making fun of, if you watch that movie, was making fun of the capitalists and was making fun of the communists. You know, like it was making fun of both sides, left and right, that fucking
That's
movie.
the movie I want to review.
Whoa, let me know when we're going to watch it. I'll be in for that one. If as long as it doesn't conflict with my game day, I'm definitely there for that.
So,
Well, you saw what I did whenever you said you couldn't make it for fucking 13th Warrior. Let me
Thank
throw this shitty movie out there that I'm pretty certain I'm not going to give a fuck about, but Janet wants to talk about it. Okay, fine, we'll do it. We'll talk about Eddie and the Cruiser.
Mean. Don't be mean. Janet's a sweetheart.
She's a sweetheart. She is, and even if she says I want to make porn. That's the best 3 minutes I've ever had on my channel. Oh my god!
Janet said this, like, you ever notice, James? Janet says innocent sounding things, but she doesn't realize how double entendre they can be. And she just says them with a straight face. Well, she was trying to explain how she's not into people making porn and showing porn. She's like, if I'm going to make porn, it's going to be for my own thing at home with me and my man. And just basically, she was just like, I'm going to make porn. And we were just all like, oh, Janet, no.
I have a hard time not fantasizing about you as is. When my wife says you're fucking hot, it doesn't help. Stop! For God's sakes! Stop, Janet! And she just keeps going. The most wholesome pervert I've ever met.
yeah, I've got different.
And then you try to tell Janet what she did, and she's just like, "Oh," and then she just continues on with that exact same thing.
she's like a bulldozer plowing through. She's like a killdozer going over cars.
My Walker, no.
Yeah. I like Janet, and I think that she knows exactly what she's doing.
What did I say last night, Doc, on my stream that she was on last night? I said that exact same thing. I said, Janet, you know what you do.
Oh yeah, she's.
And she tried to play it.
Like
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, get out of here. Because I remember one time I was watching her and she was on. No, she showed up on my stream in the audience, though, and had a whole conversation about her tits or something. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I mean, I need more of this. I mean, the viewership was way up.
Well, that's literally no worse than one of the first games I played with Janet on Bruce's channel. She literally opened the stream with "My tits hurt." First thing said on camera.
Well, I mean, she does work out, and that can happen.
That was actually the exact reason that was exactly what she was talking about. But the first thing's live on camera. My tits hurt.
Because I dated a runner, and if she didn't wear a really, really good sports bra because she had fake double D's, them things would beat her ass. And then when she would get done with her 5K or whatever she was doing every day, she'd be like, ah. And it's like, well, I mean, you know, so that's a true story, man. Even in the Army, you know, if you're a female in the Army, you need to wrap those things up because you'll be out there doing your PT and stuff. And I mean, I assume, but actually, I know I did volunteer to go to another unit for a little while.
You annoyed? Are you bothered? Have I bothered you, Misty?
Which was good because I went to California. This other unit needed like a driver or something, and I volunteered and went to California, which was awesome. And then they gave me an ARCOM for it. And like the captain that wrote up for my award, man, he made me sound like Steve Rogers and shit. You know what I mean? I like still have the paperwork he put in so that I could get it, you know? And it was like discipline and a true, you know, inspiration, blah, 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 blah. But what was really going on is I came from an infantry unit and went to a support unit to drive a vehicle, and the people in the support unit had never encountered and dealt with people from infantry units. You know what I mean? So the fact that I was all squared away at all times and ready to go, that they were all like, what's up with this guy? You know what I mean? They're like, this guy's crazy. You know, he's like creeping around and he's up at 4 a.m. And my wife was a Marine drill instructor with triple D's. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm not saying anything, Daryl. I know that I was dating this girl. I really, really cared for her. And she decided she was going to join the Navy. So I broke up with her. Because I know how shit goes.
You don't want a woman to come back on leave with their tits completely sucked off and her hoo-hoo all blown out.
No.
You don't like a hot dog down a hallway? Come on. You're just being a bigot, James.
Exactly. Especially since the job she got was repairing the ejector seats on the F-18 Hornets or whatever they are. So she was actually part of the flight wing. And I'm like, yeah, no.
No,
Was
she's
really
also
sad about it. You know, she's like, why not? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. And she's like, but I'll visit you every time we're important, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here thinking, no, there's like 1,000+ people on one of those carriers, you know, like the Nimitz or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And 90% of them are testosterone out 20-something-year-old men. And I'm thinking this girl is getting ready to get passed from one end of that ship to the other.
and then you got lay on top of that the fact that she's the injector seat repair woman. People are going to want to stay real close to her.
Oh, she dealt personally with the fighter pilots. So you know that's a thing. I'm a fighter pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Give me a blowjob, sure. I mean, you know.
Oh no, what I mean is
about it.
No,
But,
what I mean is that they're going to want to keep her on their keep on her friendly side.
And
which
then
also
the other
means-
thing was she was always the one that they picked to serve the
Yeah.
officers during the officers' mess.
Oh, well,
on
that says a lot
Carrier,
in and of
the
itself.
officers have their mess thing, and you have enlisted people that come in to serve the food.
Yeah.
And because she had giant tits and was really, really pretty, way above, you know, what I should have been able
Her
to
pay
pull.
grade.
Yeah, she was always in there too. And that's when she got pregnant, was when she ended up getting out of the Navy and she had some fighter pilot's kid. And it was like, yeah.
Surprise.
So, I mean, you know.
How did this happen?
So I you know, I'm like, yeah, I made the right idea there, you know, but only because, see, there were 0 women in my unit, not one, right? But not far down the way from us, there was a street we called Pogue Avenue because everyone on the other side of it was non-combat arms. And
Persons other than grunt.
yep. And let me tell you something. The barracks bunny thing, that's a thing. For real. Like you'll get some 18-year-old girl join the military. She will have had sex with 100 GIs by the time she's been in 1 year. I mean, it's nuts.
My cousin joined the Navy because his father was a Navy man and told him all the stories about, you know, going to Hong Kong and Australia and New Zealand and all this, you know, Canadian Navy stuff. He joins. Guess where he gets deployed? On an icebreaker, the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, but if there were any women on that icebreaker,
There weren't a lot of women in the Canadian Armed Forces in those days.
there he would still be. He'd still be hitting it up because, you know, like I've had a lot of Navy friends and they talk about like they have ships called oilers.
They used to. I don't know if they still have those anymore. I haven't heard of an oiler in 20 years.
And apparently this guy told me, and he could be lying because he was Navy, that the oiler that would contact his ship to refuel them and everything, like somebody had to fire a gun across that fired
Yeah,
like
it fires
a
a
thing,
string so they can set up a
and
line
then
to
they got
line.
pull the rope and then pull the hose, and the whole ship's crew was women. It's like almost everyone on this oiler was a chick. You know what I mean? So it was super exciting for these guys on this frigate or whatever every time they got to refuel, because they'd be like yelling back and forth at the women. And those women can be pretty lewd, is what he
It's
would
the worst
say.
ship to be around, and it's a HR nightmare.
Because like they have no compunctions about it. You know what I mean? But Barracks Bunnies in the Army, yeah, that's 100%.
We pulled up next to the Simon Lake in Spain. No, in Portugal, in Lisboa. And probably 30% of that ship seemed like it was female. And we were only
Right.
84 people. I think every single one of us found somebody to pair off with. And I hung out with this one chick. She was a deck ape. And we went into the fan room, and that was where I had my European experience. That was fun. That was like we had been in other places. I went to I could not find a English girl to have sex with because I was too critical of the teeth. I had to find a girl from Iowa in Portugal to have sex with.
I have 2 cats.
Yeah, man.
I got 2 cats there. I contributed to the stories.
Yeah,
I lost my
stepdad was
virginity,
Operation,
and that's all I have to contribute.
But then you found it again. You're all like, fuck.
Pretty much.
Still here.
I mean, you know, it's just So that's
What do you think of this
happened.
guy driving in dungeons or whatever he's called?
John Garibay? What?
No. It's his channel, driving in dungeons or something.
Yeah, that's Garibay.
No, it's not Jay
It's not
Scott
Garibay?
Garibay, you fucking morons.
I thought it was
He's got
Garibay.
a huge schnoz and burgers. And he has
Christ.
the burger
I'll
jam
get
every
the
time he
fucking
gets behind the
name,
wheel.
relax. I'll get the name.
Garibay is DoorDash.
Driving and Dragons.
Yes.
This is Driving and Dragons. He does that thing once a week. He does intelligence as a dump stat, where he just constantly shits on the Bro SR.
One of the things I've started. It's got pops on my feed occasionally. Something about a barbarian, but it's hilarious stuff. No,
What are you
it's
talking
like
about?
no, it's something barbarian. It's like, but it's about a barbarian who like knows how to defeat every monster. Like some of the titles is Immortality Killed the Lich.
This is a YouTube channel?
Or yes.
Okay.
My favorite one is I sent to a buddy of mine. It's about how the barbarian beats the crap out of a succubus, and succubus
talking
like,
about
why you
Dungeon
leave me
Soup?
here? Because you're gonna die
That's Dungeon
if I
Soup,
just leave you
isn't
here.
it?
Oh, I can't remember.
Dungeon
What?
Soup.
Okay, do me a favor, you fucking Spurgoid. Open your YouTube and find the name of the goddamn channel.
Yeah, go through your history, or go through the history of your messages that you sent to your buddy, and that'll help us with the.
That's what I'm.
channel name.
Is it an animated thing? Is it cartoons?
Yes.
Dungeon
Yeah,
Soup is animated.
that's Dungeon Soup. The barbarian goes on the dinner date, stuff like that. Yeah, that's Dungeon Soup.
Yeah. I thought it was called Barbarian something.
What is it? Okay, this is now 3 days in a row. All of you Spectrumites with your supposed encyclopedic knowledge of shit you're into have all failed me completely. What's going on?
Wait, where did I fail you, Bear?
Well, you weren't there for it. You're on my Discord. But I literally asked the question on my Discord because I forgot I got enough Spectrumites. One will have the answer. I said, has anyone got a list of the official names of like European weapons in the Middle Ages? Essentially 1,000 years of weapons. You know, longsword is not really a proper term for the time. It turns out it was a bastard sword or a hand and a half. I learned that the hard way. You know, I'm like, they'll know this. Jesus Christ. And like some of my top Spectrumites answered, they didn't know. It was like, what the fuck? How are you guys not all over this shit? Did Big Bang Theory lie to me?
Yeah.
Poor Bear.
They were not laughing with you. They were laughing
TCG
at
got the
you.
joke. Thank you, TCG. I appreciate that.
But yeah.
Poor bear.
Yeah, the long sword is a huge misnomer. The sword that people carry, if it's really big, it is a broadsword. And if it's not quite super big, it's an
There's an
arming
arming sword, a broadsword, and then the bastard sword, which is what we call a long sword, which is a hand and a half.
or a
Yeah.
hand and a half sword.
Problem is, D&D has polluted so many people's views of what medieval fucking shit is. Like, studded leather does not exist. Never existed. It's not a real thing. Closest thing to it is brigandine. You know? Like, fuck.
And that is the issue is the people say Gary Gygax. He saw a picture of an Englishman or a Dane or something during whichever battle it was, and it looked like he was wearing a leather coat with studs in it. The thing he didn't look into was that on the inside of that leather coat, those studs were holding metal strips. And there's a specific way they're layered in. And that's, brigandine armor, which was incredibly popular for about 200 years because any idiot with access to thick cloth or leather and some strips of anything hard could make
And it was fairly effective.
I mean, what battle was it? It was in Europe. They dug up a battlefield and they found like 1,000 coats of this stuff. And it had been preserved by the peat and all the nasty shit in the dirt and whatever.
It is 106 degrees in San Antonio right now.
Damn.
Yeah, well,
Thank God I'm not there. It's 80 degrees and mostly sunny in Orlando.
We're real fully
77 degrees with 38% humidity in Montreal.
And bears in front of the fan inside.
No?
No,
I'm 58 degrees.
I got my
I got a
going.
fan on my feet right now.
There's a fan in my bedroom for when I
Yeah, I
sleep,
got
but
nothing.
otherwise, you deal with it.
No, we have 5 minutes.
Like another version to look at if you want to see what they call studded leather is the next time you watch Mel Gibson's Braveheart, he's wearing brigandine armor. That leather coat with the squares of leather riveted onto it. Because one way they would do is they'd take the soft leather and then they would take squares of leather that was thicker and they'd boil it. And that made it as hard as like wood, right? And then they would rivet the boiled leather onto, sometimes outside, sometimes inside. I mean, so Braveheart, where he's standing there in that armor with the squares all riveted in. Yeah, that's brigandine armor, a style of it. There are a lot of styles of it. I know because when I was in the SCA, I made it and I wore it. Brigandine armor. It's really easy to make because once you buy the leather, I would get 55-gallon plastic drums that had been used to tote like whatever industrial stuff, but nothing poison. And I just used my saw to cut strips out of it and rivet it on the inside of the leather.
Let's see here.
So that was plastic. So it wouldn't
If I
rust
remember
and
correctly, what I was told is white and blue are the two colors you want to use because white is general,
shit.
blue is water. You never want to use yellow or green because green is something toxic, yellow is gas, and I think black is sewage.
I
correctly?
always got the blue barrels. There was a place near Taft that would sell them.
Don't trust any of that. My very first job in high school was at a warehouse, and their whole thing was they would take dangerous materials, hold on to them for a couple of weeks, relabel them, and send them back out as something else. My high school hooked me up with this job.
My favorite school job ever that I heard of on, I think it might have been Nuxenor. This woman got mad because the high school her kid went to, this is a black lady, right? They had done a high school field trip to a cotton plantation, and the kids picked cotton. And then when the boy come home, she's like, "What's that in your pocket?" And it was cotton. He had been like, "Oh, we were picking cotton on this plantation today, and I stuck some in my pocket because I wanted to keep it." She blew her top, went to school raising hell, but then it turned out that this cotton farm was owned by a black guy. So then it was in Alabama, right? So then the guy came up and he's like, "I just wanted, you know, it was a living history thing. You know, this is how it used to be, right? We obviously don't do that anymore. We got machines, right?" And then she was all like apologetic and shit. She's like, you know, it was such a roller coaster of a story, you know, because it's like, because I'm sitting in the car, we're driving through Georgia, and I'm like, who thought it was a good idea to take a predominantly black school out into the countryside and have them pick cotton all day? I mean, it's like no one stopped to think, you know, someone the wrong way or some shit. And then
that
it turned
reminds
out
me.
it was a living history thing, and you know, there was no negativity at all involved with it. They just wanted to show the students how difficult picking cotton actually was. And it is, because the cotton pod, when it breaks open and the fibers come out, if you don't have nice thick skin, that stuff will shred you. Like if you're walking between the rows of cotton plants, the husk of that cotton will shred your pants right off of you. It is rough stuff, you know?
Oh yeah.
So, and you have to pick the fiber out and you throw it in your bag, and then it has to go through the gin to separate the seeds out.
So yeah, D&D and role playing. And hey, BattleTech. How about BattleTech?
Well, I mean, that could be a D&D thing.
The
Now
Emperor
you know
protects.
what a pain in the ass cotton is.
I'm just saying, you know.
Well,
Even though the sheets on my bed are made out of bamboo. I got
He's
bamboo.
got to fend off koalas that are always trying to steal his sheets.
Because apparently
Or not koalas.
There's a way to
pandas.
make-
My apologies.
there's a way to make cloth out of bamboo now, and a side effect of bamboo cloth is that it stays really cool.
well,
So-
I can't say as I'm surprised. Bamboo is a type of grass, and grass is very fibrous. So
Yeah, I mean, linen was just made out of the fibers of the flax
A
plant.
side effect of bamboo sheets is amazing penis size. Little known fact.
Palm trees are actually
So-
grass too.
My wife is pulling the cabbage off of the stove, so I'm going to go probably.
I might
I am
stream
hungry,
tonight.
babe.
I haven't decided yet. I'm going to eat and then see how I feel. But I might
Okay.
stream. I don't know.
Yeah, you need to get the group back together and put them through that
Fuck no.
adventure again.
Never again.
I would like it. I'd like stream you running the thing just so I could comment. Like pull a Shawner, you know, where it's like Shawnerception. It's like 5 layers of videos all based on one thing. But yeah, bamboo sheets, the ones we got, they stay cool. It's like they don't get hot, so they're awesome. But yep, gonna go eat some cabbage. I love
Enjoy
cabbage,
yourself.
and I will check you guys out
Later,
later.
sir.
Enjoy your gas.
Bye now.